Okay, good morning, everybody.
When we are starting Siman Ayin Reish Beis, Osius is, well, it's Reish Ayin Beis, but Osius Arev. I mean, it's actually the team for the Siman because the Siman talks about which wine to Mekadosh on, and one of the main things is the person should enjoy the wine. It should be Arev though. It should be enjoyable because that's part of the mitzvah when you make a bracha is to enjoy what you're drinking. It's Mishabech the mitzvah. So, but there's other dinim also. You should not make Kiddush on wine which smells bad. Now the thing is there's a discussion, there's a machlokes about whether the yayin made for Kiddush has to be doma to yayin for nesachim, and imkain, and then there's different chumras here of things you shouldn't use. As long as it's not mamish doime, but it's like parallel. That the Ramban learns that it has to be like nesachim. Therefore, you're not even yod to the mitzvah if you use these wines. And the other shittas hold that b'diavad yod say this you shouldn't do it l'chachila. So let's see. So yayin shereicho ra, afagav the reiche the taime chamer, even if it's tastes okay, but it smells off. You shouldn't use that. Yayin megula. Yayin megula is so. It used to be. Your dad talks about it. The yayin megula, and there's a bunch of mishnayos in Truma which talks about all the different dinim and goes about Azar about that used to be that if you left wine open or liquids open, that a snake might come, a poisonous snake might come and drink from it, at least venom behind, and the person could get sick from it, or die or something like that. So because of that, the Chachamim were mesakin that anything megula without a shmir is also to drink. Now Tosfos says that was back in the time of Chazal. Snakes were common, popping into their houses and things or whatever. But nowadays it doesn't really apply so much.
Shulchan Aruch himself says ein gila v'yamim ha'ay.
Right. Now the Gra so the Gra holds that's just he's cholok on places. There's many places that's only by any of these takanos that's a tamanigla, but there's tamin and starring behind it, and therefore a person should try to be makbid. The Chazon Ish Taka said that in Eretz Yisrael there are snakes matzoi, and I say Taka, I said okay, I don't know how much, but I know that when they started doing construction around here, my neighbor right around here found a poisonous snake in their house, and a few different. There were a lot running around. Whenever they do construction around here, there are poisonous snakes that they hit a viper nest, they run out. So the Chazon Ish said there is what to be makpid on. Even if most people aren't makpid, when it comes to yayin for the nesachim, it's a psul for the nesachim and also a psul for kiddush. And therefore, if you leave the wine open, so then that passes it for kiddush. If you cover it with something or whatever. Now the Orach Chaim says you don't have to be so makbid on it. If it just if it stays open for a short amount of time, you told people leave the room. While you're in the room, it's okay. It means leaving the room. Then it's okay. The Yeshomim that's kedai. Whatever, it's kedai to be makbid as much as you can. That if you leave the room even for a minute, could be you shouldn't use that wine. It doesn't mean it's not such a drink, but you shouldn't use that wine for kiddush. You should pour yourself a different cup.
So there is a shtickle in
Gila here. Yeah, by yayin, because it's a psul for nesachim. So therefore, afilu ha'inda, this is what the Shulchan Aruch points out, afilu ha'inda, even nowadays, lo chaptin lagilu, he points that straight out, still by yayin, there's what to be makbid. Hagav ein mekachin al yayin dereicha chamra, v'tay mechala. And it's the opposite case. Let's say it smells great, but it tastes off, shouldn't drink it. Now the question I had is, what if you really don't, what if you have dry wine? Dry red wine, and a lot of people can't handle it. It tastes awful to them. Right, it tastes awful to them. No matter if you have the 200, you even have $100 bottle of wine, it doesn't taste good. they're not used to it, they don't like it. So, but it's very mishubah, it's very mitzvah. So, I didn't find anyone really talks about that directly, but I did see someone point out, because Shulchan points out, there has to be a wine that you can drink a shear within the correct time. And if you drink it and you can't get it down, then you shouldn't drink that wine. If you obviously b'diavad, it's the only wine you have, so then it's kosher. Even if you don't like it, it's kosher, and you have to try to get it down. But al kapanim, you should use wine that you at least like, or at least you can get it down.
I think the reason we didn't find anything from this is the idea that someone doesn't like wine seems to be just absolutely unheard of. You look at Masechtas Nazir, right? The person's allowed to be made for his name because his wife is renewable if she doesn't drink wine.
Right. So the thing is well, that's what he only to drink wine. But the other thing is also is that you can. Also you can also be allowed to sweeten with grape juice. You're allowed to sweeten. We'll see about other stuff. If you pour a bit of grape juice in, the sweetening is also 100% fine. If you have if you want to be yotze with yain, with wine, whatever, or reasonable wine, whatever it's what to do. Let's see. Beis yain megita the kachin alav, and this is b'di'evet. Yain megita is what we call grape juice. It's the yain that hasn't fermented, and so it's what we call grape juice. But it's a madrega below actual wine. That if you can't handle wine, alcohol makes you sick, then you should use this because it's you don't have to get sick because of it. But Rabbi Yosef pointed out that the grape juice is a slight madrega below because it's yain megito, which is kosher, but it's not the best. And you could do it. It's just that's with actual wine, not with grape juice. Even though there's like mold or it's hairy, whatever, there's white mold on top. Some say it's also you have to take off. If you take off the mold, then it's okay. And like the wine at the very bottom of the chavis, sometimes there's in bottles also where it's like full of like sediments and stuff. Shmarim, yain, which is black. I don't know exactly what it means because they have dark wines. It means you should use something which is a color which is more. I'm not sure it's maybe a kilkul. It's a little unclear whether it's a kilkul and if you use a very dark wine, I don't know. Yain matok, right? It's it's talking about what they call late harvest wine. Then it's garua from the sachin. It has to be regular wine, and wine which is overly sweet is not right. Something which is we have remembering that it smells vinegary and it tastes fine. Still the best to find good wine to go ahead and to mekadosh on it. You're allowed to mekadosh al yain lavan. The Ramban poisel the Kiddush afilu b'di'evet. The Ramban who holds that it's not worried in the sachim. Yain lavan is not worried in the sachim. Yeshua what's yain lavan. Some say it's only like some sort of wine which was mamish very like clear, something very very light colored like clear wine which is not meshubach. But if white wine you enjoy, what we call white wine you enjoy more. Some say it means like even a rosé, like a pinkish wine would be also is lavan. It's better to use red. The question is, can you add grape juice if you're using wine? Can you add grape juice to darken it? So it's Shiloh Tzvi Ba'ochel on Shabbos, and if you do that, you definitely want to color it. If you put it in, so there's Yishladun to do a shinui that you put the grape juice in first and you pour the wine in. That's a shinui which is brought down, and that's how you should do it.
What about white grape juice?
It's also the same thing. That could be.
It's 2 levels down.
It's 2 levels down, so it's better not to. It's kosher. You make Kiddush, you're fine.
Yeah.
But you want to try to, the thing they say that the person's machmir on use yain for Kiddush is, but in schar, the Gemara says. So Rav Chaim used to say, Chaim Kanievsky used to always tell people to use wine, whatever. Yeah. So it's an Indian to try what you can. Yeah. There's a mile to try to use wine whenever you can. Obviously, the best as you can. But if you can't handle it, it's fine. Or if you don't have anything else, so Havdalah and Kiddush in the morning, you can use white wine. It's not a problem. But obviously, the Mechaber is mashma. It's just vinegar, but really you should try to be makbid. Yain Chai, which we don't have so much, which is very strong on diluted wine. I feel even chazak The dari, it's so strong you need to water it down. It is better to put water in. Over dilute it. And the Ramah says that was back then, and nowadays the wines we have are better, not without maziga. So it's just you can just drink it straight.
This is one that you couldn't push it drink. It was so alcoholic that if you weren't muscle, if you didn't cut it by 3 parts water or whatever, it just wasn't. It was
right. It wasn't very. It was
literally like a drinking a bourbon or something. Right. It had to be cut.
Right. Yain semuki v'kakshan alav. You can use raisin wine. Who sheish behen lachluchas ksas below shriya. That's only if you have. There's just be a little bit of lachluchas in it without soaking. And the Orach Chaim asks, he says, "Ba'ar raisin wine. The raisins don't have any liquid. So in Europe they were making raisin wine. He says, we didn't have any. You don't have anything. He didn't have anything. He said grapes grew in France. It's very nice, but they didn't have any grapes at all. So they got raisins imported. They had raisins, so they used that. They said, but yeah, that's what we had, so it was fine.
But they didn't have anything else.
Right.
That's the ikr. They just didn't have anything.
Right. Shimi yayin or chotzani shenosan le'emayim. If you have residue or grape seeds or whatever, you put water on them. You oil levarach labor for your gafim mikasher love. And there's dinim about for your gafim that if you see that it ferments a bit, it's most of extra liquid, whatever, then you can make kiddush on that. Vayin la'el rishdal. It's one over there. Mekadshim al yayin mevushol. You can make kiddush al yayin mevushol, even though it's possible. It's possible in the Sachim. The thing is, the shaila is only if it's becalculate. Nowadays, a lot of the wines are mevushol. Pasteurization, even though it's a machlokes, Moshe and Shalom Zalman about whether it's called bishul. That wouldn't cause the problem here because it doesn't take away the shibuk unless you say that stops the fermentation, and that's what the shvach is. But I'm not sure about that. If you put sugar in dvash, or you have sugared wine, you can make kiddush. It's still not the best. Grape juice. Grape juice with sugar, which a lot of the cheap grape juice is. It's hard to find here without ours. Like Carmel is good. Kedem doesn't have sugar. Has grape juice added in. Sfardim though a bit more, but there's a few other types because they're very makbid on not putting any sugar in. It's 2 madregas down. If you have grape juice, then you have sugar. So, like I said, most people are makbid, but these are mindless. Yishorim she'ein mekachin aleim. Some say you don't make it. So machlokes. The minig is still to make kiddush on it. I feel yeshli ayin acher rash ino tov k'mar mavushol o sheyesh bo dvash. It's sweetened. The Ramah says the minig is to make obviously l'chachila that you should go after wine that doesn't have sugar or grape juice doesn't have sugar. Some say you can make kiddush on beer. Ushar mashkim chutz bin amayim. If you don't have any wines, it's better to make kiddush on pas. But in the morning, you can make kiddush on sheichar shivarach alav shahakol. You can make, it's called what we call chamar medina. You can make shahakol kodem birchas hamaitzi. Shim yivarach alav pas tchila ein kan shum shinui. Because by pas feder you can make bracha on pas, but by the day the ikar is making a bracha. It's not the ikar kiddush is on pas. The ikar is on the making the bracha with divrei tamheim. Okay, meaning pasuk for divrei rosh. In yain be'ir, a little bit kaddish al pas. Pas is only b'diavad. If you can get wine from a neighbor, you should get wine. Mishina sheis yain mishum neder. Someone who can't drink wine because of a neder, or let's say it makes him sick. Yachol b'kaddish alav yishtu acher mesuvin imo. Other people can drink a shear. Just make on the bread, or yishma kiddush ve'acherim. Right? So if someone's sick, something like that, then you should do that. Now, one other thing about discussion about drinking whiskey is a discussion about how much whiskey, or how if you make on beer, how is the machlokes, how much you have to drink. Taz says you have to drink a revis of whiskey or beer, whatever. You have to drink at least a revis like banyayin. Other paiskim, whatever say whatever's a normal shear is enough. So.
Can you also just explain in the event that someone doesn't have wine and they are making kiddush on pas,
You just say instead of hagafin, you just say you wash before, and then you just say hamoitzi.
Following what we had in the previous set, where you do Netilas Yadayim, then you sit down, you say Kiddush, you make
hamoitzi, right.
And then you break out the pasta and you give everyone the
right. So that will have it open in front of you, right? And you cover it, right?
Not covered.
Right, not covered because there's no reason to cover it. And on the one other thing, though, it is interesting that Achopanim, the Shabur perhaps we should have at least no lugmav. If you can't, so then nothing to do. The Orach Chaim says that that doesn't make a difference because our yain saraf is not so alcoholic, it's not so strong. So I'm sure I'll understood. We're not talking about 100 proof. Some people can drink that down, but he's talking about things which are like more like liqueurs and things, whatever, which are probably not as strong. So therefore, you can question: can you water it down to get a reviz? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if people will chas v'shalom, but it could be that could be done. And whatever Chavar Medina is, I know the Shulchan says that he knew Rabbanim were at a minute to make Havdalah on tea. And so he said, because they didn't have wine, that's what they had, but if you're stuck, you can make on any Chavar Medina. So people usually drink, you make on Coke, I don't know, because it's really water with whatever, but orange juice is the Yomi and Coke, it's hard, I don't know. It's hard to say, because you can't make a mayim, that's a whole discussion, I don't know. Birchas yain shel kiddush poteres yain shebesoch hasuda. The yain of kiddush is enough to pater yain and make a bracha during the suda. Ve'eno tom bracha lacharav. He doesn't make a bracha achrayna. The birchas hamazon partarto. Bein shu al hakais. Bein she'eno al hakais. It doesn't make a difference. It's the birchas hamazon paters the wine. Reish ayin gimel kiddush makom suda. Ayin kiddush elo makom suda. Kiddush has to be makom suda. Right, because that's the Chachamim were Masakin that the Kiddush, the shivas of Kiddush is to have it in a place where you're eating. That's the Kras Shabbos Oinig is that it's also the person has to eat a meal. That's a lot of having the meal, and that's part of Zechira Shabbos. So therefore, the wine is attached to having some sort of meal, to having some. Kras Shabbos Oinig is that the meal is the Suda with Kiddush. So you have to do makom suda. It's if you sit, if you go from one corner of the room to the other, it's fine. Shim kiddush lechol v'pina zu nimlach lechol v'pina acheres. Feel track and gadol, even if let's say you're eating in a hotel and you make kiddush in one corner and it's a big hall and you go to the other side or something like that. That's not long as you can see it. And we buy sukkah. Chashuv v'pina lepina. If the sukkah is off a balcony or something, that's also v'pina lepina. Obviously, if you have to walk outside somewhere, that's not. Ish onim shekol aroim al-kaima. I feel b'bayis l'chotzer. Some say that if you can see, let's say the sukkah is out in your backyard or something, and you can see the inside. You can see the sukkah, so it's also good enough. If you Kaddish in one place, so you're going to, let's say, by your neighbor, Shafir Damin, you could do that. It has to be in one house. Now, it could be in an apartment building, it might be enough it's in one structure, it might be enough to go ahead and to do that. I'm not sure. In Kiddush, if you make Kiddush in one house, and you plan to eat there, you decide, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere else. You have to make Kiddush in the other place where you're going to eat. I do know that I think the Grows generally, I look it up, but the Grows generally makbid on people who follow the Grows generally makbid on being sure that even you make Kiddush in one place, you don't have to make Kiddush again. It's the Shulchan Aruch that it's only if you change your mind. In Kiddush v'lo if you make Kiddush and you didn't eat, after you Kiddush lo yatsa, you didn't eat, you're not even yotze Kiddush. When mitzarech lechol makom kiddush, you chayav to eat makom kiddush or altar right away. Or you want to eat right away. You're studying the Suda. Just because you eat in that same place and 2 hours later it doesn't work.
Half an hour? Half an hour maybe? Because sometimes people do Kiddush and they're doing
so that's a bit of a machlokes.
They're chatting.
It's a machlokes because the Orach Chaim says that's fine. He says it's okay. Ma'at means, also doesn't mean on the second, it means you're setting up for the Suda, whatever, but the Shabur is mafid. He says that as for the fruit you shouldn't be mafsik, it should be right in front of you. You shouldn't be mafsik, you should eat straight.
That's the
Mishnah Berurah. So you should try to have something in front of you. Obviously, if you, I think everything's set for the Suda and make pass, and then there's a hefsek between make Kiddush, and then there's a hefsek of 20 minutes because of something, I don't know, whatever.
Sure.
That's you're just getting more toward the Suda, but especially if nothing's there, then that's more the issue. If you had in mind to do it later, then it's right. That's only right if you have mind to do it later. But if you weren't planning to eat over here, you're going to eat later, and then you change your mind. Then again, if it's the same, then you have to make Kiddush again. A person can do Kiddush for other people even though he's not eating with them. Because for them it's makom suda, even if you're not eating. Even though hagafin you can't be motzi, but Kiddush you can. You're in the high birth hagafin who chayv the Kiddush. You have to say birth hagafin. It's Kiddush. Kiddush hayam dami. Even though not nana, because the birth hagafin during the day is the Torah's Kiddush. Hagava feel Kiddush shayom shachris for Shabbos mutter lasos kain. Even most people in Kiddush shayom shachris. That's why they don't know Kiddush and make Kiddush. If you don't have kavanah to do Kiddush with them, then you should not. You be careful not to drink with them. Right? If he's not going to eat here, let's say he has to eat this hechsher of food, whatever it is, and he doesn't want to eat. He's not going to eat over here. But if people need Kiddush, so you can make Kiddush. And obviously, you should give the wine to someone else to drink l'chora because it is hagafin. But al kopanim, if he's not going to eat, if he's not going to eat. Otherwise, he can make. If he already made Kiddush, he can make Kiddush again hagafin, and that's okay. Kasu agayinim hada in Kiddush elav makom suda. That which we say Kiddush makom suda filo achal davar muad. That's even if you eat a little bit. Oh shasakos yain shechayev lav bracha. That's only that this is a kazayis. The Mishra explains that davar muad is a kazayis, or if he drinks a revius of yain. Yotzi yedei Kiddush makom suda. The Gemara suda so chamacher. He can eat and he can go, finish eating somewhere else. But if he eats peril or bezonius, we say is also fine. Now the thing is that the Mishnah Berurah says to rely on the shitas hagoyin to drink a revius of wine, because the shir is malo lugmav. But to rely on the goyin to drink a revius, the Mishnah Berurah says it's only b'di'evet, you shouldn't do l'chachila. And Shulchan Aruch it says, why not l'chachila? You can be samech on it. If you're samech on it for whatever reason, you can't be samech. Let's say it's Pesach, right? Sometimes they make Kiddushes in shul and they only have matzah crackers, and people don't want to wash, and I don't know, whatever. So I guess in that case, you could be there. You'd definitely be allowed to go ahead and to drink a vase of wine, or let's say something's there you can't. You're not going to eat, whatever. You'd be allowed to samachana, definitely samachana to the Evid. However, Rav points out that what's the tab over here? The reason is because the Gemara says the yain is soed, it fills you up. He said if it's grape juice, he's not so. He said it's grape juice is not soed. Some bit of alcohol does soed, but grape juice isn't. So he said if you can be soed on the sheetas of the yain, you shouldn't use grape juice. Others are cholkim and say, no, there's no chiluk and it's okay. But is what Rosh Hashanah is very. I mean, I find makes a lot of sense. But obviously, you're stuck. In all these cases, and you can be somehow the coolers and drink grape juice if you have nothing else. In Kiddush bebeisa b'shama shcheno b'shulchan aruch lefanav yotzeba. If you the Shabbat Rabbi Malchim Suda, which is discovering the Shabbat Lotzitz and Mashviya Lahoitzi, right? You're in your house or apartment, and then, and you can hear the other person making Kiddush, and obviously, I mean, clearly you have to have some sort of kavana to be motzi. If he doesn't want to be motzi, then it's a problem. Then you are yotzi Kiddush with that. Let's say it was like time of Corona, and a person didn't have wine, so wanted to be motzi them with Kiddush, you could have heard from someone else. Yeah, from the house next to you. Yeshoimim sheim akacha elo laor haner. You need to do it in light. Yeshoimim shein Kiddush totally b'ner. It's not totally in the ner at all. If you want to go ahead and eat outside because it's nice air, even you can't see the Ner Shabbos, then there is an Indian to look at the Ner by Hul to look at the Ner, and by Kiddush to look at the Yayin because it's Marapa the eyes, but it's not totally on that. You don't have to be in the house; it's too hot, you can't breathe. You don't have to sit there by the Neris. The Hachi Mistavra, and that shita is more. It's only mitzvah harbe, the Bishop points out, and not if the Magen Avraham but not if the other way. You should eat by the Ner, but if it's very hard and whatever, let's say the power goes out, whatever it is, then you can go ahead and go out to the Chotzer.
Just to add a few notes. Based on Reish Ayin Bet Seif Tet, according to Sephardic tradition, most say that Chamar Medina must be alcoholic. Okay, and now we see from Reish Ayin Gimel Seif Aleph that it's permitted and sometimes better to recite Kiddush in one room and then eat the meal or mazonos, whatever, in another room. That's in the same building, could be on the roof, it could be even outside in an attached yard with no roof, with no ceiling covering. And we know this is often done in large shuls where the rabbi would say Kiddush in the main sanctuary and everyone else eats in the social hall or outside. Okay, and relating to Reish Ayin Gimel Seif Hey, so when needed, some rule that one can rely on the lenient opinion during the day, and which is that it suffices just to eat any food. Could be dates is the best, but it could be dates, rice, could be a fruit, most foods, cooked meat, and that's called Kiddush b'makom suda. As long as someone eats those items, and but that's when it's needed and during the daytime.